Hi everyone. Today I'm delighted to introduce Louise Edington to an astrologer's calling. Louise is based in Utah in the United States, but originally from the UK, I believe, Louise. Yeah. Um,
From
so
Derby.
Derby, good old Derby. Louise of Cosmic Owl Astrology is an Opus certified astrologer. She's a peer group leader for them and a mentor. And she's also a certified Venus Star Point practitioner and teacher and has lectured for OPA, ISAR, Kepler, Synchronicity University, and many, many other astrology organizations, I'm sure.
Mm.
So Louise organises conferences such as the Quantum Astrology Gathering, which was held in January this year, I believe, Louise. Yeah, she went
It was last year, but
last
yeah,
year,
I
was
think
it?
I
Oh,
think so. Or did
was
I?
it?
I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Anyway,
Time's weird.
yes, time's it's all those that quantum physics, the time duality thing.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, she runs a podcast. She's an author, and her latest book being Ceres in Astrology, which I have here. Ceres in Astrology,
Thank you.
Nourishment, Power, and the Rebirth of the Feminine. And what I love is Louise is actually a storyteller and a cosmic guide. And you just
Mm,
need to hit her website to see that she is a storyteller, without a doubt. So I'm
mm.
really excited to hear about Louise's story, and then let's just see where the conversation goes after that. So over to you, Louise.
Perfect.
How were you called
Yeah.
to astrology?
How was I called to astrology?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, as usual, it's one of those long winding roads. But when I was a young teenager, I was interested in sun signs. But I didn't know anything about proper astrology. But I've even got some things I wrote, when I was quite young, saying, "Oh, this sun sign means this,"
Yeah.
and but then on my Saturn return, my first Saturn return, I had a friend who'd taken an astrology class, and she created my chart for me and did a handwritten report, which I still have. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So she gave me some books and I taught myself how to hand calculate charts. And for many years, I just read every magazine, practiced on any friend that would let me. I had one of the first astrology uh, programs on a computer, I think, on a floppy disk as well, way back
I
then.
remember.
You
Yeah, yeah.
know, yeah, yeah. So, but I didn't even think you could become a professional astrologer then. I saw there was the Faculty of Astrological Studies, of course, because I was in England at the time, but that was just too much. I thought, I can't, go down to London all the time and things from Derby. So, but then when we moved here to Utah, my husband's company moved us here. I realized there were all these professional astrologers making money in astrology. So that's when I dove in and studied with one of Stephen Forrest's first apprentices. So I studied one on one with her because I knew her personally and never stopped, never looked back from there. So.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is your practice, or where do
Mm.
you sort of divert your energy to these days?
Yeah, more group work really, and mentoring and teaching and writing. I've always wanted to write books, and now I have four published. So, but this is my first self-published, and I have more planned.
Yeah,
So, group work, of course, gives you more space to, do writing and things like that as well. So,
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah,
cut,
yeah.
but yeah, I've cut back on the
Mhm.
number of consultations I do because bigger picture as well is more interest to me. What's happening in the collective with the big consciousness shift. I think we're going through, or
Yeah,
consciousness
yeah. Yeah.
expansion, whatever.
I think yeah, that's very poignant because we've got all this, we're moving into this air fire dynamic, aren't we? And
Mm,
And we've got all the themes of AI and, how that's going to
Hmm.
impact the human consciousness versus that of the machine and technology. So there's a lot
Yeah.
to work through and a lot to consider for sure going forward. Yeah. Um, but
I
I think,
must say, I'm on a bit of a mission to play my part in changing astrology itself in some ways, because I find a lot of it very fear-based, and trying to make it a very empirical, rational tool, which I don't think it is. I don't think you can ignore the fact that there's that chaos agent within it, and
yeah,
I think science itself, not in astrology, is also finding that because of quantum physics. So anyway,
yeah,
I'm trying to encourage, should we say, other astrologers to be more co-creative and empowering and inspirational with astrology,
yeah.
instead of putting fear-based predictions out and going, oh, or this aspect's bad, or this is bad things.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
completely on board. And I think this is a really important
Hmm.
conversation because
Mm.
I think, the so-called malefics,
Mm.
etc., inspire
Hmm.
fear just with the word malefic.
Yeah.
Okay, Mars and
Yeah.
Saturn. We wouldn't be able to live without Mars and Saturn, for example. Um,
No.
I
No.
I always share with my students it's a personal story.
Mm.
So I remember a few years ago now, I was checking my forecast as you do, and I
Hmm.
saw I had a really strong solar arc. There was a Mars Saturn theme running through all of the forecast. Okay.
Mm.
And I noticed that my solar arc Saturn was coming to make a conjunction with natal Mars. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there going, oh, that doesn't look good. That doesn't sound good. I'm an astrologer,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
think there's a certain level of conditioning.
There is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, what on earth's going to happen with that? Anyway, I'll tell you what happened.
Mhm.
So the week that solar arc direction exacted, because I think directions
Mm.
can be incredibly
Oh,
accurate.
they
Anyways,
they really are. Yeah.
yeah, the exact week I took up martial arts. I
Yeah.
started karate. Mars Saturn. And I've got a Mars Saturn semi-square in my natal chart anyway. So it was just
Yeah.
echoing what was there. My son had started
Yeah.
6 months earlier. That week I started karate and I'm sat here today, 7, 8 years later, something like that. And I'm now a second dan. I'm the second level of black belt.
Yeah.
So how beautiful was that Mars
Hmm.
Saturn energy that came into
I
my
know.
life?
Because
And
as
it's
soon as you said
marvelous.
it, I'm thinking, oh, that speaks to me of doing something very driven,
Yeah.
and very kind of exacting. And I've done martial arts in the past, and it is. So
Exactly. It's
there
perfect.
you go.
And you need that more Saturn to keep it going, don't you? Because it's
Hmm.
hard. It's really hard.
It is. It
So,
is.
no, I think this is a really important conversation, and just even labeling
Mm.
planets as debilitated or weak,
Oh.
or tell all those incredible poets or musicians who've got
Hmm.
Mercury and Pisces that they've got a weak
I
Pisces.
know.
I,
I know. It's like, yeah, and I have Mercury in Sag, so I'm really against the whole language of
yeah,
fear, and
yeah.
and and you know, it's so ingrained. It's going to take a lot
Mhm.
to change it, but if I had my druthers to do a British word, I would actually rename the planets, because I think a lot of it is based on, these patriarchal myths,
Yeah.
and it's hard to separate that
Mhm.
name
Mhm.
from those myths and that time. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's
yeah,
probably not going to happen.
absolutely. Well, maybe it's not in our lifetimes, but who knows? So tell me more about
Mhm.
your thoughts around new names, perhaps for planets.
Mm.
Intrigued now.
Oh, well, I've actually got my next book in the planning, and it's kind of a conversation with the planets, a bit like um, Alice in Wonderland. It's called The
Mhm.
Soul's Tea Party in working title anyway. And it's kind of going through a wormhole and talking to the planets in this alternate reality. And so I'm going to get them to speak new names, suggestions to me as I write the book.
Yeah.
So I haven't really come up with any yet, but you know, I kind of want names that are more empowering or more reflective of the actual energy of the planetary bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what comes out. I'm playing with names, and I haven't really got any at the moment. But I guess a lot of it comes from Ceres, you know, from writing the book, because that name has been used for this planetary body that is really powerful, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And I
Mm.
do think she's a personal planet
Yeah.
because for many reasons. And Ceres, by the time we got to Roman times, the energy of that goddess energy had been really flattened and diminished by the patriarchal myths. So, you know,
Yeah.
even
Yeah. Yeah.
Demeter's better because that means the mother. But before that, she was, you know, all these other kind of mother goddess archetypes. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, but I
yeah.
think that perhaps covers all of the the goddess planets, Juno, Vesta,
Mm.
that
Oh,
type
it
of thing.
does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they've all
Mm,
been slightly diminished. And
mhm,
I haven't read all of your book yet, and my schedule's
mm.
just absolutely crazy, but
Oh.
I'm really enjoying it. And before I go any further
Mhm,
with this train of thought,
mhm,
I was like
mm,
completely when I was because it's absolutely so generous of you to share your chart at the end of the book. That's
mm,
very generous,
mhm,
okay? And
mhm,
I wasn't surprised at all that you are so caught up. That's perhaps the wrong way to describe it, but just so ingrained with the feminine archetype and feminine power because you've
mm.
got what moon conjunct Black Moon Lilith.
Yeah.
You've got Venus and Neptune conjunct. You've got Juno conjunct
Mhm.
Mercury. You've got Sun conjunct Ceres on the ascendant. You've got
Pallas,
oh,
Athena, and Jupiter at the same degree.
exactly. You've got them at 14 of Sag in the 12th house, and then you've got Hygeia
Yeah.
and quite close to Pluto in the 8th house. So I just
Yeah.
think that's wonderful and it makes absolute sense, of course. And I
Hmm.
completely lost my train of thought where I was
I don't know.
going. Oh yes, I know
So
where I was going.
to anybody listening, we're both feeling very spacey today. The aspects are making us like, what? Anyway,
Yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot
sorry,
going on in the
you've
sky at the
remembered.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where I was going was
Mm,
in one part of your book, you talk about how Ceres, of course, resonates with Taurus, the Earth, and she was discovered in
mm,
Taurus. But there's a
mm,
resonation with Virgo as well, perhaps.
mm,
And obviously, I've done a lot of work with Juno, and I often get asked
mm.
which sign should Juno rule.
I know.
And okay, so this is where I'm
Mhm,
coming from currently. Um,
mm.
I'm like, why should we box them in to any particular sign or house?
Yeah.
They have to be resonant with, because in my mind, Juno resonates with fire. Juno is very
Mm,
cardinal. Juno also
mm.
resonates with air. And I'm like, why are we still boxing
I
um,
know. I
bodies
know.
in?
Yeah, well, I would drop rulership too. My
Yeah, and
yeah.
I'm like, but then does that
Hmm.
come back to how women throughout history have perhaps been boxed in?
Oh, well, and women and
Yeah,
society, really.
yeah,
We've all been boxed into all these categories, haven't
yeah,
we? You know. Yeah, and I agree. You know, and series, I was pushed to kind of, you know, I do feel she resonates really well with Taurus, but
yeah,
more Earth, perhaps more all the Earth signs
yeah,
more than
yeah,
anything, perhaps. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I can't box them in, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
And and all this about they're weak in one sign, or like to go back to that whole detriment and things. Well, what's
yeah,
that telling? What's that telling a the client, but also what are you telling the universe? Because I'm a great believer in kind of working with the energies of the universe. I've done law of attraction classes using astrology. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mhm,
No, I agree because
yeah.
I do think
Mm,
that what we think and feel
mm,
ripples out, definitely. And I do think as astrologers, we have to be, I think we have to be very careful how we describe planetary energies to clients because
hmm.
there's, just by telling someone that something's weak,
I
it's
know.
it's it's making it's bringing a negativity straight away, and that seed
Hmm.
will plant in their mind perhaps more than you saying, well, you've got a strong sun, but you've got a weak this,
Hmm.
that, or the other. They'll remember the weak
They
bit.
hear that
Yeah,
they do.
yeah.
Or even like, say I have a Mars Pluto square natally, it's almost exact. I've had people saying, because we've had a Mars Pluto square recently,
Mm,
about how violent it is and how bad it is and how this is. And I'm like, oh, well, my personal experience of my Mars Pluto square is more that I'm extremely driven,
yeah, yeah.
and I can really tap into roots of deep kind of power, even when I'm tired. Like today, I can really kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
go,
Power through. Power,
dig,
yeah.
dig.
It's that
Yeah. Hmm.
relentless energy,
Hmm.
definitely with Mars Pluto. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we do have to be really careful what language we do use, but not just with clients, but in our writing, because that's instills it in new astrologers and in every aspect. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think this brings us back to everything that's out there that's so readily accessible on the internet.
oh yes.
And if someone who's sort of coming into astrology really new and fresh and perhaps a little bit naive, and I mean that in the nicest possible way,
Mm.
there is a lot to terrify you. And I think I
Oh,
shared
there
this in
is.
an interview with one of these episodes I did with Julia Simas from Australia.
Mm.
And I told her a story of when I was first starting in astrology, and I was like a child in a sweet shop going on the internet and
Mm.
all this information. And I found a website on which it was described that the placement of Pluto in your natal chart would describe your death. And anyone with Pluto in the eighth house would die from alcoholism. And I swear I didn't have a glass of wine for a
I
week.
have pl-
It was at least a week after. Yeah,
And
it was.
I remember hearing a very well known astrologer actually, and so I'm not going to name them,
Yeah,
talking about Pluto transiting through the first house and going, and you could die. And I was like, what?
yeah,
I've had Pluto going through my first house forever, and because I've got a big first house because I use quadrant system house
yeah,
system.
yeah.
But yeah, you could die, but you could also die from a Jupiter transit, or
Oh,
I don't think the planets cause it. I kind of think it all lines up time wise.
yeah, 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 yeah,
All the
absolutely.
all the planets. That's your kind of time.
It takes more
Yeah.
than just one transit to describe
Yes.
an event like that. You've got to have recurring themes across the progressions and the directions, etc., etc. And I'm
Yeah.
Capricorn rising, so I went through the whole Pluto
Mm.
and Capricorn thing. And I've
Yeah.
got Moon in Capricorn, Ascendant in Capricorn, and a bunch of planets in Cancer. So yeah,
Hmm.
I went through it
Yeah.
all. I'm still here. But that's interesting as well because when Pluto passed over my moon, I had about five passes of that.
Mm.
And again, although I'm educated as an astrologer, deep down there was this
Mm.
like, oh, I'm sure my mum's going to die, or members of my family are going to
Mm.
die. And all it was really was it was a purging of the past. My house got purged. I moved
Hmm.
house a few times. I did so many tip runs to the rubbish tip, and I just cleared so much out of my life,
Mm.
literally and physically.
Yeah.
And it's, I wouldn't necessarily want to go through it again, but I wouldn't change
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lucky that my chart is such that when I really came to real astrology, as I would call it, not just some self-taught stuff, most of my Pluto transits had happened. So I could look back and go, well, yeah, there was transformation, but and there was the one year where, my dad died, I got married, and I gave birth to my eldest daughter. So I had a lot of transformation of my life, and it was around my Pluto square, but there were a lot of other indicators too in my chart if I look back. So it
Yeah.
wasn't Pluto causing it.
Yeah.
I think that I don't think the planets cause things in that way. Just like I don't think there's a god on a cloud causing
Mhm.
things that way either. So
Yeah, yeah. I think it's about the
yeah.
timings, isn't it? It's
It
yeah.
is.
They
Yeah.
describe the timings.
And a lot of the transits and things is how you respond to them and work with them, which is what a good astrologer will help a client to understand.
Yeah, yeah. And I often encourage people to move into the energies being offered.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I think you've got to. So my
Mm-hmm.
Capricorn moon likes to use things and make things useful. So I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
right, so this is what we have. What's the best we can do with it? You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Well, my
Definitely.
Gemini moon, I guess, likes to talk to the energies and go, okay, how can I work with you best? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Let's come up with some
yeah.
new ideas. What are the options?
Yes.
20 different
Yeah.
options. There's a few.
I know,
Yeah.
and I usually give clients lots of options to go.
Yeah.
I like give them a list of books to recommend or practices or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
But
it's
my biggest thing is when they come, it's those with a lot of that internet knowledge. They're not real astrologers, and they've read that they're coming. Pluto transits are going to be awful, and they've got one
yeah.
coming up. And I'm going, well, if you fear it, it's more likely to be awful.
Yeah. No, you're
Hmm.
absolutely right. And what I'm seeing at
Hmm.
the minute amongst young people is this fear of the Saturn return.
Oh, lordy baldy.
An absolute fear of Saturn return, like it's going to be the worst
Yeah,
moment in their lives. And I'm like,
yeah.
it can be wonderful. It's a coming of age.
Mm.
My Saturn return was absolutely incredible. I left a
Both,
job
both.
I
I'm.
hated.
I've had
Yeah.
two. Yeah,
Well,
both of
you're on your
mine were.
second. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it can be
they were
wonderful.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
So,
not. I'm not saying there can't be moments. I'm my second Saturn return because I had three passes. Just the week before the middle pass, I was in the
mhm.
middle of writing the book that became a bestseller on Amazon, and I had a moment of I can't do this kind
Yeah.
of thing. But I buckled down, which is very Saturn, and did the work
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
got through it. Yeah,
And you probably
yeah,
wouldn't get through it without that Saturn discipline to get to the finishing line. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I think
So,
it's a lot to do with perspective in some
hmm,
cases. Yeah. And however, I
yeah.
don't want to take away the fact that when people go through difficult times
Oh,
or traumatic times, the planets describe that as well.
oh,
Um,
they do. Yeah.
but there's, do you know what I
But
think
I
with
think we can. But I think we can help a client to understand how to respond to
yeah,
those challenging
yeah.
times. Is more how I work with it. I'm going, yeah, well, I wouldn't say this in a reading, because obviously I can hold the space really well for somebody who's going through a challenging period.
Hmm.
But shit happens, excuse me, all the
No,
time.
no, it's
Life,
absolutely fine. It does. It
people,
does. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it happens at different periods of life, and we have to learn how to deal with it, really.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
it's about the ups and downs, the good times, the bad times, and
Hmm.
everyone has them. But like you were
Mm.
saying, the planets don't cause those good times or bad
No,
times. They just
no.
reflect the timings and the cycles of life.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
the
they do.
seasons of life,
Yeah,
definitely. So,
yeah.
what would you say astrology has brought to you on that personal level?
Mm. Oh, goodness. I always describe astrology as kind of my 42. It's learning to, it's a hitchhiker's guide to the um, galaxy reference. It's the answer to life, the universe, and
Oh
everything.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you
42.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I should have unpacked that. But
No, it's brilliant.
it's
That's
helped,
great.
but it's helped me to understand myself at
Yeah,
such a deep level. And
yeah,
it's helped me to grow and expand and just really work with this map of potential that
mm,
is what I see my chart as.
mm,
And I don't use it. I'm very much a kind of working with the inner life of the planets, how they work within a person. So I don't use astrology really for elections much.
mhm.
That's picking the date to do things. I
Yeah.
did pick the date to launch my book on the lovely Venus Jupiter conjunction because that was coming up, but I don't get down to going, oh, this is a bad day and the moon's void and this.
Mm. Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
bit with I'm a bit with Rick Levine on that one. I don't know if you've heard him talking about that. He said the moon's never void because there's all these other so-called minor aspects that are not minor at all. And
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
know. I know. No, I'm a little bit like you. I will kind of look
Mm.
for a period where I've got some sort of really helpful transits, for example, or
Yeah.
that type of thing. But I don't get too caught up in elections because
Mm.
you could I don't know. I think
Oh,
everything happens for a reason and things happen at the
I
right
do.
time. And
Me too.
if you can have a difficult chart for an election, but it can still turn out to be wonderful. It might just be a little
I
bit
do.
more of a challenging route to get there. So, and
Exactly.
we can't
Yeah.
hide under the duvet and only come out on days where the chart looks good.
No, we cannot. No, no.
It's like we can't
So
hide
you
retrogrades.
usually I pick a thing by it's convenient in my life.
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah,
and then I look and go, oh well, actually it was quite a good day, so I'm obviously in tune with the
yeah,
cosmos. I look
exactly.
at the astrology then. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me
Yeah.
about what I'm going to have to reframe this question totally for these episodes. What would a typical working day look like for you? But no one has a typical working day.
No, well, I have ADHD, and so I'm better with a routine. So I do have my days fairly mapped out, but a lot of it's around my self-care. So, I walk 4 miles most nearly every day. I do boxing classes, punching bags, not
Yeah,
punching people, and I have a gym. So I've got all those appointments, and then I've got my morning where I record and break down the week ahead forecast and things like that. But there's always a bit of space as well for doing other things.
yeah,
But I only have one day a week where I'll do client sessions
yeah,
because I can't deal with having them all over the place. It just fries my brain. So I
yeah,
have
yeah,
that focus. So
yeah,
there isn't really a typical day. Each day is kind of a bit different, but
yeah.
it's kind of more based around my personal life.
Well, yeah, I loved what you just said there about
Mm,
prioritizing your self-care. For example,
mhm,
exercise, that type of
mhm.
thing. Of course, you've got Ceres on the ascendant, which is very
Yeah.
much about that self-nurturing. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's in Capricorn, so she likes the
A bit of
structure.
structure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
No, I think that's
yeah,
wonderful. So you do have that
mm,
framework, but within that, you've got the
mm,
flexibility to
yeah,
sort of plan things how you want to plan them and how the
mm,
energies work with you. No, that's super. So, do
mm,
you have any funny transit stories? I like to have a bit of fun
mm,
because I think astrology
mm.
can get a bit too serious sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
funny ones. Oh, I can't think of
Or
any
just
funny ones,
anything
but
that's like
well,
synchronicity
well,
or
I'm. I'm just thinking back to what you said about the solar arc directions, when I and how flipping accurate they are and
Yeah,
exact.
yeah,
Because when I published my first book, my solar arc north node was exactly conjunct my Mercury, and my solar arc Mercury had just moved to 0 degrees of a sign. I can't remember which sign,
yeah.
but in my third house, which is writing.
Oh,
And I was like, you just cannot make this up. But I didn't
no.
know that till afterwards, because I didn't study solar arcs till
Yeah,
after that first book. And I
yeah,
looked back and I was like, right, flipping heck, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, that's a
Yeah.
perfect story. I love stuff like that because, like you say, you cannot make them up. You just can't. And if that
You
doesn't
can't.
prove the validity of astrology, I don't know what
Mm,
does, you know?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I could add in other things. Like I work with the Venus Star Point,
Yeah.
Ariel Gutman's work, and the Gemini star point is hovering back and forth over, because it moves reverse around the signs,
Mm.
over my moon, Black Moon Lilith conjunction. That's also Gemini. And all this whole period is where I've been writing and publishing books too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Gemini. Yeah.
Love
So
it.
and I've
Love
got
it.
more, and I think I've become a better writer thanks to Venus's kind of creative energy. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, so before we
Yeah.
finish, do you have any
Mm.
words of wisdom regarding
Mm.
the current astrological weather we're going through?
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, I do think we're on the verge of potentially something amazing, to be quite honest. And I think my biggest word of wisdom is that look for the kind of what's happening underneath, because the whole world seems in not a great place, right? Generally.
Mm.
And, you know, there's a lot kind of struggle, and I think it's the old paradigm kind of clinging on with the
Yeah.
fingernails. I always think look for the bits underneath. Like there was a report the other day of renewable power is now less expensive to produce than fossil fuel power. And I've long said, look, we're moving into this clean energy world, you know, and it's coming. It's coming. I think there's something bigger coming as well. Maybe fusion, you know, really unlimited
Mm.
clean energy. And I think people are always trying to look on the deeps. The, and I'm such a Sag, so I'm always looking for the good. But I try to encourage other people to
Yeah.
look for the good things that are happening, because they're there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm,
You're absolutely right. I think
mhm.
we are on like the cusp of massive, change. And
Oh, huge.
as with anything, there'll be the positive and the less positive. But I think because particularly due to the media that feeds us,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
get caught up in the negative and fail to
we
see
do.
the potential. I think there's huge potential ahead, huge
Mhm.
potential. But even,
And I think we were born, you know, for this moment. So,
yeah,
you know, we're here at this time to
we're
be a
meant to be
part of
here.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And although it's,
Mhm.
it's never comfortable moving out of our comfort
No,
zone, that's human
no.
nature. I think, like
Mm,
I say, we've just got to buckle up and get ready for the ride and embrace everything
mm.
that's coming. And you're
And
right.
also don't think you have to do it all, you know, individually. We've each kind of reached little parts of it, you know.
Yeah,
So I look at, you know, and well, we all know what's happening here in the US right now, but you know, and I've got a lot of activist friends because I'm
yeah,
pretty political, and some of them just like drain themselves to the
yeah,
core because
yeah,
they think they have to do everything, and why is nobody else doing it? And I'm like, look after yourself first, and then
yeah.
help others. Put your oxygen mask on.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Hmm.
And all you can do is
Hmm.
control your own little world, and then what
Hmm.
you do within that will ripple out in some way,
Yeah,
shape, or form, definitely.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, just switch the news off. Don't watch it
yeah.
24/7. Yeah.
No, I read the headlines
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because it can get quite toxic. It definitely
Oh,
can
it
get
can.
toxic, I think.
Yeah, but I'm also not a fan of spiritual bypassing and pretending that we're not connected to all of that.
Mm.
I'm a big fan of it being at least aware of what's happening, but
Yeah,
just
yeah,
don't sit
yeah.
in that toxicity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Because,
Yeah.
if you focus too much on that, you lose your own today, you lose your own tomorrow, and
Hmm.
you've got to invest. And it comes back to that self-nurture, doesn't it? You've got to take
It
care of
does.
yourself, in
Which
all.
is what series really ultimately
Yeah,
is about. If I hope people will
absolutely.
read my book and
Yeah,
work with their series and learn what feeds them, because
yeah,
what we can look back and kind of blame our parents for not doing that, but it just happened. you
yeah.
know oh, I study everything, so I'm a big fan of Gabor Mate's writing on trauma. And his last book, The Myth of Normal, he talked about we're in a toxic, traumatic society, and I think we are at this verge of everything's shifting so much that it's time to not let that trauma sit within you now. You can't change that it happened,
Mhm.
but how can you move on and create the life you want to see? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. And I think there's a lot of
Hmm.
collective trauma at the moment.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
just watching the hostages being released by Hamas today
Mm,
in Israel, and they've got a lot
mm,
to work through, bless them. But
hmm.
also the Palestinians who've been held in prisons in Israel, I was watching them come off the
Yeah.
buses, thousands of them, and they're in
Oh, and then
incredible
I was, and then I saw some people going back to where their home was in Gaza, and
pile of
it's like,
people.
well, what do I do? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, but all
Hmm.
we can do is just
Hmm.
keep moving forward. And what happened today was positive. People were released,
Hmm.
and who knows what will happen tomorrow in the Middle East. I think there's probably still a
Oh.
way to go, but
Oh, I think so. And
everything,
I
yeah,
kind of I can well, personally I
yeah,
cringe a little at how our president is being lauded there for this, but
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Yeah, time will
Hmm.
tell anyway. So before we finish, Louise,
Hmm.
any exciting projects you'd like to share and
Oh,
let people know about?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the book, if anybody buys it, and if anybody's got the book, please
It's
leave reviews
beautiful. It really is
on
beautiful. Yeah.
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I'm launching a new website and a new kind of membership thing. And I'm calling everything's gone quite cyberpunk, because I don't know if you read the foreword. Steve Judd, the astrologer in the British astrologer, he offered to write the foreword, and he called me the almost but not quite cyberpunk
I saw
priestess of the
that and I was
stars.
like, yeah,
And he said if she upsets the patriarchs of astrology, then we need upsetting or something like
yeah.
that. So I thought almost but not quite.
I
Okay, that's a
know.
challenge. That's a challenge. So I'm leaning into it.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's
So
giving you a push to just keep
I
going,
think
keep
so.
going, keep going. And on the sort of subject of cyberpunk, I love your hair. I
Mm.
think your hair looks
Oh, thank
absolutely
you.
great. Really great. It's just you.
Thank
You're
you.
just owning it. So yeah, that's really
Yeah, I
cool.
am.
Yeah,
Yeah, and a lot of my outfits have kind of gone a bit more punk, but I think this is what astrology and working with the energies can do for
yeah,
you.
yeah,
I kind of leaned into the personal growth and transformation side of astrology, and I ended up kind of losing like 80 pounds over time by, take prioritizing the growth and self-care. I didn't
yeah,
go on a diet. It just was, I lost that kind of, this is my life. I'm a mum and I'm post-menopause, so I'm going to get fat, and
yeah,
all
yeah.
these internal messages, and I lost them, and I
Mhm.
get younger every day, it feels like. So, so astrology can do that for you, I think, too, if you lean in. So
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
hmm.
Totally with you.
Hmm.
So thank you so
Yeah,
much for sharing
thank
all those
you.
insights, Louise.
Oh,
And I'm sure we'll catch up very soon. Okay, thank
oh, I'm
you.
sure.
Take care.
Thank you very much.